Hey everyone, and we are live with another episode of Office Hours, where I spend the next 20 to 30 minutes or so talking to you about the topics of the week as it applies to both LinkedIn, networking, the military transition, and career searches. And I've got a lot of great topics for you this week. First topic, of course, is going to be my Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles having a fantastic NFL draft, getting some quality talent, maybe a top 10 talent at the linebacker position to pair with Zach Vaughn. Really excited about this upcoming season. And you should be too. So fly, Eagles, fly. If you're an Eagles fan, if you're a Dallas fan, just skip this part and move on down into the meat of the video. So I want to start with thanking our partners at ComC's Psychotherapy for sponsoring this episode. ComC's focuses on therapy or therapeutic support to first responders, military, law enforcement. And so if you are interested in someone that cares, that understands our community and works with all the systems, and a lot of their therapy sessions are done remotely, then reach out to ComC Psychotherapy. You could always send us a message and we'll connect you directly to Sharon Prager. So there's a lot of opportunities there, and they've hired a lot of military spouses. So check them out. All right. So the topics of the week today, I posted I was nominated by Military Friendly to be the Veteran of the Year. In secondary, I was nominated to be a Vetrepreneur of the Year. Anyway, I was honored by the nomination. They've started voting. If you get a chance, check out my post. You can go to militaryfriendly.com/vote and then vote for the people that you think are worthwhile. I'll tell you, it's an honor to be listed up there with all the people up there. But I'm not voting for anybody else. Let's be honest. I'll say what other people won't say. I'll get in there and vote for myself. Just like if you're running for office, you go in and you vote for yourself. You don't vote for the competition. But it's an honor to be up there with all those exceptional leaders. The next part, yesterday, I shared an article that's been going around for some time. And it is the transition planner that Kirk Windmuller created years ago, and he's been updating every year. And it is a one sheet with lots of really small writing list of everything that goes into the transition for that last year. And it is a lot. And so what I'm going to tell all of you is that you should take a look at that, blow it up on your screen, take a look at all the things on there and go, because this is why we want you all to start early. If you wait until the last 6, 8, 10 months to really focus on all the things on that chart that have to be done before you get out, your transition is not going to go as smooth as it can be. I'll tell you again, it took me 200 informational interviews just to figure out what I wanted and was qualified to do. Try factoring that in over the last 6 months when you're doing your disability, when you're doing your household goods, when you're doing everything. It's not really possible. And so what I'm going to tell all of you is the advice. Check it out so you know all the things that are just like the required things to do, and then realize you still have to network. You still have to build relationships. You still have to figure out what you want to do and what people in that job do so you can write resumes that reflect what they're looking for, not what you've done, that make you a best candidate. Which is why I will tell everyone you should start yesterday. If you got 5 years left, start. Space it out. A little bit here, a little bit there. Calendarize it if you have to. Space it out so you're not trying to all jam it in together. And I'll tell you, it is a lot easier to network and to learn when they couldn't hire you if they wanted to, right? That's the key of starting early, that freedom to just have conversations and learn. So, I encourage everyone to start years out and just space it out over time. My metrics for informational interviews are typically outside of a year, do 1 to 2 a week. Within the 6 to 12 months from getting out, do 2 to 3 a week. And then within the last 6 months, do 3 to 5 or 5+ a week. And if you do that over time, it just gets cumulative and it'll help you learn what you want to do. The next topic, and please, if you have questions, drop them in. The next topic is going to be title translations. And we addressed this on Hot Jobs a little bit on Tuesday at 2 p.m. But since I do this to my page, I want to make sure everyone gets the opportunity of hearing this. There are challenges that come with title translation when you're in the military transition. So if you think you're, whatever your current military job title is, you think that it equates to a different civilianized job title, more often than not, if you're just starting your transition, you're wrong. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean that in a realistic way. A lot of people will just automatically change jobs to project or program manager based on rank, HR director based on rank, HR manager, operations director, CEO, COO. Like, you can go cats and dogs playing together, whatever. Here's the thing. You more often than not can make yourself not a candidate if you translate wrong. So if you say you're an analyst, right? Let's say you say you're an analyst. And I read the description and there's nothing about data, there's nothing about analysis, and it's just all your accomplishments in your role. You're not a best candidate. And for the commanders out there, like the 03 and 05 commanders, like, you are equivalent to a COO in the a CEO in the military, and the first sergeants and sergeant majors, you can call yourself a COO in the military. But the reality is that does not translate to that in the private sector without you filling a bunch of gaps around industry, around revenue, about profit and loss, all the different laws. You're not a SME out here. And so what I would tell you is my advice, after seeing tons of strategic executive managers and servant leaders and executive assistants, which is a real job, but senior executive assistant is not an E9 unless you really want to be. They're different meanings. And so my advice to everyone is, first of all, when you start your profile and you're outside the hiring window, which is 2 to 3 months from the day you can start, just make it your current professional identity. Don't translate anything, right? So if you're a platoon leader or a platoon sergeant, whatever, if you are an A3 NCO, if you're whatever, make that exact title your job title. And all of them. Make your current headline what your current job is. Put your rank before your first name. Let everybody know you're in the military, right? Because that will open up the aperture for people that would love to give advice to transitioning military service members, right? So make your professional identity exactly what it is now, and then focus on reaching out to veterans to just ask for advice, to learn more about what they do, to understand how you can navigate your transition better. And you'll see a lot more veterans will be open to reaching out on that. So start off with your current professional identity. And then what I will tell you is that if you think you know what job you want to translate it to, the first thing I want you to do is to go to LinkedIn Jobs or Google Jobs or whatever and type that exact title into that job board and see how many results come up with that name. If there are only one or two, or there are no exact results for job titles, you just made that stuff up, and it's not going to help you. You're not going to show up any results because no one's searching for a made-up job title. It'll just confuse people. So search for the job titles and keep doing that until you get one that has a bunch of results, right? When you have one that has a bunch of results, then I want you to read the job titles. And when you read the job titles, I want you to go down to the section where it says required or preferred qualifications or must-haves, right? And I want you to read the top 5. And I want you to look at those top 5 hard skills, years of experience, certifications, things you must have. It's not going to be servant leadership, trust me. When you see those top 5 things you must have, you need to go look at your profile and your working resume, your master resume, and say, do I have that? If the answer is no, go back to section 1. If the answer is yes, move on to part 3, which is reach out to 5 or 10 people in that field that have been at that level, veterans typically, and talk to them and see if you really do have that experience. If the answer is yes, good. Translate away, translate on your profile. I'm still a big fan of putting your current title, then a pipe stem, or putting your translated title first, a pipe stem straight up and down line, and then your actual military title so veterans know what you did and can help. If the answer is no, they don't think you're qualified, then you were probably putting the I can do it mindset into it instead of the I have done it mindset. And you got to go back to section 1 and start again. This is why career exploration is so important to people in the transition and why we want you to start early. Let's see. We've got, that's not me. There we go. So Kevin says, good to see you. Quick question. I've seen you recommend people use open to work banner on LinkedIn. Do you believe it is also an appropriate move for someone who's been in industry for about 8 years and looking for a new BD account executive role? If not, how do you recommend that person gets the word out? So great question, Kevin. I do actually recommend turning on open to work, especially nowadays. It's not as big of an issue because of all the layoffs that have occurred in government and elsewhere. So what I will typically recommend is if you are at the senior executive level and higher, which is typically what I talk about to like the GOs that are going out or people that are, probably for me, it'd be like at EY, it would be like the managing director, partner level, stuff like that. If you're at that level and higher, turn on open to work, but do not say open, share with everyone so you get the green banner. Senior executives, you do not want the green banner on there because retained search consultants are getting paid to basically steal high-performing executives from great companies and move them to other companies. And if you have the green banner up there as a senior executive, they're going to say, why are they trying to leave? Or why are they not unhappy with the job? Why don't they have the network and stuff like that? Below senior executive, pop that green banner up there, say it's all, tell people what you want to do. It will increase the number of views of your profile by about 40 to 50%. And I will tell you, when I get into LinkedIn Recruiter, or maybe I'll bring it up on one of the future ones, when I do a search and I add all my filters, the first bucketed result is people that have clicked open to work. So that's where you start your search. So yes, I would turn on open to work. All right. So any other questions, you guys can just pop them on in. We got about 15 more minutes. So if you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll work through some of these other topics. So the next part, I did a post like 2 or 3 days ago about the 20 statements about the military transition. I was like very, kind of DA photo-ish, like with my scowl kind of. But I want to go over not all 20, but a few of them. And I encourage you to check out the post and share with your feedback or read the comments to see how many people felt the same way. But the first one is remote. I want a remote work. Remote is not a job. Remote is a work arrangement with your employer. And this is the problem. A lot of people will get out, or a lot of people are out networking. They're saying, I just want remote. You didn't tell me anything except for the fact that you don't want to go to an office. And if you tell me I just want remote because I want to spend more time with my family, get in some exercise, take the dog for a walk, go to kids events, you told me you want to work from home part-time, right? So you've got to think about it. If you want remote, you've got to, one, do the research still to find a job that is amenable to remote work. And then 2, work on your messaging on why remote work is one of your preferences. So that's it for remote. So I say remote work is not a job. Think about what you want to do and then look for remote jobs that do that. Number 2, I hear a lot of people say, well, I've got a great resume. No, you don't. No, you don't. The fact that you said I have a great resume, singular, means it probably sucks. I hate to say it. You need to have a tailored resume for every job you apply. Every job, right? If you, even if it's in the same industry, like there are different priorities for every role. If I have to hunt and search for the priorities on mine because you're sending a role for another one, it's not a great resume. A great resume, listen to me here, a great resume is jump off the page clear, written for that job. So if the job requires 5 to 8 years of experience doing XYZ, I kid you not, title, of the resume, if you use one, is the job title. That opening paragraph explains that you have over 5 or over 8 years of experience doing X, Y, Z with some examples. The keywords align with the top must-haves on the job description. Your job titles in your experience section have examples of you doing the things in the keywords and in the job description for each one, right? It is clear that you are a best candidate for that role. So you should not have one resume. You should have one master resume with all of your stuff on it. And you probably are going to have 30 to 50 resumes. I just want to set expectations there, right? And for people that say it's not worth it to do the work, okay, get whatever ZipRecruiter sends your way. Effort helps you stand out. And Chris Hogg comments this all the time. It's not ready, fire, aim. It's ready, aim, fire. You're going to hit more targets that way. Let's see. A lot of senior leaders that are late in their preparation say that mission keeps them from investing in themselves and focusing on their transition. And I'll say that that's a load of you made a decision. If you have created an organization as a senior leader where you cannot afford to take some time every day to do the tasks that are required to set you up for success, then you have not created a healthy organization. You are not giving people time to learn and grow, right? You're probably micromanaging the crap out of everything. And so what I'll say is that most of the people I hear say that probably started the transition, realized it was going to be hard, and then fell back on the mission, can't do it, make me do it. And this is also why I tell people to start early, so you take that excuse away and you can space it out, right? I know that we're not expecting everyone to work, all the way up to the end. I know we're not expecting people to take 8 to 10 months off early to do it. There's a happy medium somewhere, but you have to spend time investing on yourself. All the people that say tap sucks. Right? No, tap does not suck. What 97% of the population calls tap is the minimum congressionally mandated program that you are required to attend to separate for service. Starts no later than 365 days before service. It consists of the 1-day DoD portion, 1-day career readiness, 2 the whatever it's called, career transition training from DOL vets, 2 days vocational, educational, entrepreneurship, or career track, and then the 1-day VA TAP track. So that's 5 days of training. That's what most people consider TAP. That is the absolute minimum mandatory training that you are required to do TAP. That is to say, check, I did the minimum. TAP does not suck. Are there better and less better instructors? Sure. Are there better and less better experiences? Sure. But you have the ability to walk back into that transition center at any point in time and say, I need more help. They've got additional resume courses. They've got networking events. They got federal resume courses. You could take the career readiness track. You could also take the vocational. You could also take the the entrepreneurial track, right? There are other nonprofits out there that they will connect you to, like Onward to Opportunities, USO Transition, Hire Heroes USA, Hiring Our Heroes, 4Block, American Corporate Partners, and everyone else that's local to there. There's so much out there that you can take part of. The Employer National Partnership Program, the EMPP, they've got connections there as well from DOL vets. I mean, there's so much out there. Here's the key. You have to ask for more. And if you do that, again, effort helps people stand out. I'll get to these questions in a minute. And then the last part on the top 20, I'll do 5 of them, is that responsible for. responsible for is not a job. It is not an accomplishment. Doesn't mean you did anything. So if you say I'm responsible for the operations for 17,000 people in 45 countries with an annual budget of 330 million, which was on my final resume, what did I do? Right? I didn't talk to anything I did. And so you have to understand, responsible for $18 million of equipment is not, there's no accomplishment there. Responsible for is not an accomplishment. You also don't get to take credit for everything your people did underneath you at Echelon. The key to all of this is, for resumes, for interviews, for networking, is talking about what you did, right? It's talking about what you did. So if you say that I did this, I bet if I ask you questions, you better be able to answer. I was talking to, ended up being an awesome E9 down at Fort Greg Adams that came to an event, and we were talking, and he's like, can you look at my resume? And I'm like, what does this mean? On one of his things he said he accomplished, he goes, I'm like, it says you did this. What's it mean? He goes, I'll have to get back to you. I said, you didn't do it. Or you don't understand what it means. You got a resume writer to write this for you, didn't they? And they were like, yeah. I'm like, well, hopefully you didn't pay. They're like, oh. So like, just understand that your resume accomplishments should be written just like we all aim to write our eval bullets. What did you fix? How did you fix it? What are the results? The impact bullets, right? And they should align to what the jobs are you're applying for. And this is where taking the time to do informational interviews with people in industry will give you the information you need to craft and choose those bullets appropriately. Let's get over to these questions. Let's see. So Gene says, I'd like to add that in today's job market, your LinkedIn profile is just as crucial. Many recruiters actively search for talent directly on the platform. Yep. Absolutely, Gene. Every one of our recruiters has a license for LinkedIn Recruiter. 95% of the Fortune 500 search on LinkedIn. It's where LinkedIn gets the revenue from recruiter seats, not from advertising. So absolutely put the effort into your LinkedIn profile. It's not going to look like a resume. So again, at the less than senior executive level, I encourage you to treat LinkedIn like your master resume. Put all your bullets, your titles and stuff like that on there so that you will populate in more searches. But put the effort in. Smiling photo, background image, be complete, attention to detail. It'll make a difference and grow your network. Nick, thoughts on having two competing offers? Is it bad to accept an offer while waiting to finish the hiring process in another? No. So my thoughts, Nick, are no. But if you're going to accept the offer, right, then I don't think it's good to leave. To go, you're going to burn some bridges if you accept an offer and then a month later leave. What I recommend you do is, if you have two competing offers or one offer and one process that's ongoing, is you call the I'm big on open and honest feedback and communication recruiters. Is if you're in the process with the other one, you call the other one and let them know exactly what you got. Hey, I just got an offer from Hire Military for this amount of money in this role. I've got 4 days to respond. Can you do anything about this? Like, where are we at in the process? Can you meet it? I'm big on open and honest feedback, open and honest communication. What I would not do is lie. I would not escalate the salary. I would just be open and honest with the recruiter. You'll know right then and there when you communicate that with them, whether it's going to happen or not. When I got out, I had 3 offers. One was with EY, one was with a small federal IT company, and another was a midsize. And the small federal IT company made me, like, the EY talked about making me an offer, and it's EY. The small business made me a written offer, and the midsize was working me through their process. And so when I had the written offer and I had a week to respond, what I did was immediately I called my EY recruiter, said, this is the job title, this is the offer, this is when I have to respond by. What can you do? They said, we can at least match it. I think we can beat it by a little bit. Can you give me a couple days? Yes. So that's good. They were going to work it. The other company said, I can't, I can't get you anything by Friday. Like, it's not going to work. Okay. That means I'm not a top candidate for them if they're not able to do anything, right? I eventually decided to accept the first role. I called back the recruiter for EY and said, you know what? I've decided to accept this role. Please do not do any more work to bring me to EY. I love EY. I would love to someday be a part of the EY team, but I think this role is better for my development. And then I sent thank you notes to the partners that interviewed me for the role, and ended up coming back a year later to work at EY as a senior manager. But that's why I talk about being open and honest communication. And I didn't want that recruiter doing all the work, getting partners involved. Like, if I'd let them do the work and create the new offer and then told them never mind, like, that would have pissed them off. Like, they would have just done all that work for nothing. And instead, I've built enduring relationships. Conversely, if I would have accepted the first offer and then left to go to EY 6 weeks later, I would have burned a hell of a lot of bridges at that first company. And I still talk to a lot of those people. So I'm all about just being considerate and open. All right. Let's see. I got a couple other questions, a lot of comments. So we've got Jose saying, say what you did and how you did it and what the result was positive. We've got Dale saying TAP depends on what you put into it. It's effort, right? But the 5 days everyone thinks of as TAP are the minimum required standard. So put more into it. And then let's see. The next question. We've got Dustin saying, what are your thoughts on using AI to tailor resumes? What advice do you give service members who consistently receive the dreaded near instant rejection notification? So, all right, if you get a near instant rejection notification, that means your resume was nowhere close to being qualified, right? And so you should accept that it's not on the company, it's on you not being qualified for you to not even be eligible for a screening. And more often than not, it's going to mean you're not qualified. So what I would do is get with mentors that have been at that level in that field and talk to them about why, because you're not going to get, if you're getting rejected from the company, you're not getting feedback from the recruiter 99 out of 100 times. When it comes to AI to tailor resumes, I don't think we're there yet. I have yet to find AI. I have yet to find AI effective in writing as well as I do. Anywhere close. And let me see if I could do this while I still got you on. I'll show you guys all something. I'm gonna see if I can get this tab up where I do think AI works. Hold on a second. I gotta try to share screen. Share screen. There we go. All right. So what I will share with everyone, where I think AI is of value to kind of speed things up and to take away some of your own filters, is if you search for jobs on LinkedIn, and let's just pick one. So let's pick this deputy chief of staff role. So say I like this deputy chief of staff role. I think I'm a great fit. All service members get free year of LinkedIn Premium, linkedin.com/military. You get a free year every year for your entire career in 1 year blocks. So, and veterans get one free year, military spouses get a year every PCS. Now, what I love is these tools you get with free LinkedIn Premium. So I've got this job, I scan it over, I think it's great, but I want to find out, like, am I a good fit? So I'm going to click, am I a good fit? And what happens is AI will scan the content on the role and the content in my profile and tell me if I'm a good fit. So it says and AI is very nice. So it says you're a potential fit, which means probably not. So my leadership are in line and project management are in line. Strategic planning and operational management experience from your military and corporate background could be beneficial. Here it is. I could not find specific mention of copywriting skills or experience in a startup environment, right? So what I would have to do is make sure I have copywriting skills. I write all the time for LinkedIn, have a nice following, and I have a startup. So, I would have to articulate that. But that's why I think having AI analyze your stuff could make a huge difference. And let's see, I think I take one more and then we'll have to get out. Let's see, 25 months of unemployment and no offers to date. So, Christopher, I would say that is your expectations do not align with industry. I would get a mentor from American Corporate Partners. I would get with Hire Heroes USA. I would get with the USO team. I would leverage all those resources to figure out why you are not getting offers. I know it's a tough market, but if you spend the time to prepare, you will get offers. And a lot of times what I think is people are shooting for something that they think they're qualified for, that I can do it, and they're really not where they need to be. And then let's see. Is this one? Keywords in the summary are definitely key to getting a longer look. Yep. It's the same thing as a professional resume, as your professional summary on your resume, on everything else. Like, look, the more relevant, powerful content you get in your profile could help. Just don't put any long paragraphs out. Now, conversely, when it comes to a resume, more is not better, right? Don't expand your margins. Don't go to lower font to fit everything onto 2 pages. You need to focus on the actual specific tasks that are relevant to the role. And everyone who wants to talk about soft skills, leadership, communication, all these, time management, whatever, none of that shows up on a resume. None of the extra stuff shows up on a resume in a positive way. Make your resume the best for that job. And what happens is those soft skills will blow them away in the interview. That's when you get your money with the soft skills. And when you get to the job and you start volunteering to more because you realize you haven't only worked 40 hours a week in 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, and you're like, holy, I got a lot of bandwidth. That's when that all comes into play. So hard skills, experience, specifically relevant to the role in the resume, soft skills and everything else, blow them away in the interview. All right. Woo! Live fire, 30 minutes. I'll be back next week. Just to let you guys know, tomorrow we've got Admiral Munch. We're doing a transition course with him. On Monday morning, I'll be with the DISA Command team up at Fort Meade. And then Monday afternoon, I fly down to Tampa for Soft Week. I'm actually speaking from 2 to 3 p.m. on marketing yourself as a job seeker at Soft Week. So I'm excited if you're there to get a chance to attend. Please do. I will be headed out to events with Lauren Wittenberg-Weiner and Linnea Gavrilis on Monday night. They're going to take me to a bunch of the events because I get overwhelmed by this stuff. And then on Tuesday, catch Ken. If I see you on Tuesday and you want to go grab a beer afterwards, let me know. Happy to connect with you down in Tampa at Soft Week. I'm really excited about it. And I'd just like to say thanks. Thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you for joining. And for all of you to remember, say thank you early, say thank you often. Intrusive leadership doesn't exist out here like it does in the military. You have to be used to saying thank you, even if you don't feel like you need to. It is a great way to let people know that you have EQ and that you valued their investment in you. And with that, I would like to say have an amazing weekend, everybody, and we'll catch you next week.